Hello, my name is John Reynolds. Welcome to Extraordinary Life Stories. On this episode, I'm talking to former footballer turned serial entrepreneur, best-selling author and reality TV star Joe Sealey. Joe was forced to retire way too early from the game due to injury, but he pivoted and set up a sports agency business which he successfully sold. Joe faced deep personal struggles following his retirement and the loss of his father. His battle with identity led to struggles with alcohol and drug abuse, which he's since written the best-selling book about. Today, Joe is a dad of 3 and a thriving serial entrepreneur with an exciting new venture, revitalising a very cool brand. So let's find out what he's up to. Let's get into it. Joe, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, John.
I've been looking forward to this.
So have I.
Tell me, who is Joe Sealey?
Who is Joe Sealey? That's a big question, isn't it? I think I'm a father, a son, a husband, a friend. In my personal life and the outside world, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm on some TV shows, you know, and that's what I would say I am. But people that know me, I'm an honest person is what I try to be. I try to live my life the right way.
I love that. Take me back to a young Joe. What were your early kind of life and career influences? Who and what influenced you? What was your decisions at that time?
My father influenced the whole of my early career. He was a professional footballer, so he played for Man United.
Les Sealey.
Les Sealey. And that's all I ever wanted to do. So, like most young people that want to play football, that's what I wanted to be. And I did everything I could. It was taken away from me at a young age, actually, but I did everything I could in the early part of my life to do that.
What age were you when it was taken away? That was through injury, right?
Through injury, yeah.
How old were you?
I was 18, nearly 19 years old.
So all you've known until then is I'm going to be playing in an incredible environment. How did you have that taken away from you? And that becomes your identity as well, right?
It's everything. I think that's a big thing you just said, actually, because I talk about this now, that throughout my life, you have different, I suppose, masks that you should have. And that was, I'm Joe Sealey, the footballer. Before that, I was Joe Sealey, I'm Les Sealey's son. So you're continually, to me, I wasn't good enough. Do you know what I mean? I realised in later life, but earlier on, because it let people want to talk to you.
Interesting.
Yeah, I moved schools a lot because of my dad's job. But as soon as I go in and people know my dad's Les Sealey, they want to talk to me.
Life lessons though, right? And
yeah.
We're going to get to where you're at now and that sort of almost the journey that you get to be content and happy with your own identity and so on. But at that time, and you lost your dad as well around this time as well. Have I
2
got
weeks
that right?
later.
I didn't know it was that
2
close.
weeks later, yeah.
So you've got an injury that stops your life dreams and
Yeah.
you've lost the biggest influence in your father.
Yeah.
I know that you then massively struggled with alcohol, drugs, but you also actually pivoted and set up a sports management business. So I want to know kind of almost how you coped with that. Some people could have just pulled the kind of wool over the head, the rug over the head sort of thing and never see him again. But you kind of had this battle where you sort of went into a spiral with drugs and alcohol, but you also set up a very successful business.
I did, yeah. I think during that 2-week period that between my injury and my dad dying, people don't realise this, my dad started the sports agency Stella, who are now the world's biggest. So I was given a job. He sorted that out before he died. So after he died, I got taken to the offices and I was told, would you like a job? So I took the job. And I didn't know at the time what I wanted to do. I hated the world. I hated football. I'd worked there for about a year and a half. And quite quickly I realised I couldn't work for anyone else. But at that point I knew
Unemployable.
I was unemployable, but I was unemployable for a lot of my own selfish reasons at the time and my own problems. And I thought, I'm gonna do this myself. And that was what set me off. And some of the clients I had were friends of mine, they'd come with me and it set it off. And to be honest with you, looking back, I don't know how I did both, because at the time I was a daily drug user. I would get sober. I didn't drink at that point, I just took drugs every day. I'd get sober to do the deals. So I didn't use that day or the day before, and then I'd carry on again.
Wow.
It was like
How long was that period of your life?
The worst period, 3-4 years.
Right.
Daily.
That's serious abuse. That's a proper habit you formed. What broke you out of it? I know you've written a best-selling book on this, but just in your own words, what is it that was the light bulb moment where you were like, this has to stop?
Apart from, I'd say, for the first 6 months to a year, and I don't like saying this, but it's true, I think that drug saved my life. I think it took all of that loss I suffered, all of that trauma, and it didn't fix it, but it made me feel all right.
It was
So
your processing of grief, right?
It covered it. So in a bad way, I'd learned to repair myself by taking drugs to feel happy again, which made me suffer for a long time. But I think after that, it was dark and miserable, and I didn't want to do it, and I didn't know how not to do it. And I always believed that I like to live my life as morally right as I can, and when I'm doing that, I'm the opposite. So from 22, I'd gone to try and get help. I'd gone to, therapy. I'd gone to the doctor. I'd gone to AA meetings. I couldn't stop, but I knew I wanted to stop.
So you were seeking help. Fair play, because a lot of people. So you knew you needed help.
Yeah, I knew I needed help. And I knew I didn't want to be like it, but I couldn't stop. So I didn't know how to live.
And there was no, because you lost your father, right? So there's no sort of mentor. There's no one around you that was giving you any advice and helping you. You was having to seek it professionally, if you like.
Yeah, and at that point, I suppose you're arrogant. You start doing all right in your life, and I think
because if you measure it on success, making money, and so on, you've got all that, which also fuels your drug habit, right?
Yeah, because I said to all the time, on the outside, my life looked fabulous. I was 21 years old. I bought my first $100,000 car. I had my own house. I had other properties. My life looked fantastic. Inside, I was dying.
Literally.
Yeah, inside I was dying. I think of my drug use as a slow way of committing suicide. I was too scared to kill myself, so I did it that way. Do you know what I mean? I got to the point where I could have died. So
you're seeking help. I interrupt you. So you're seeking help and so on, and therapy. And what was the catalyst? Because it's got to come from you, right?
It's got to come from me, and I met my wife, and I think that, well, everyone around me says that saved my life because she wasn't like me. She didn't use. She didn't really drink. She's what I call a normal punter.
I've just had the pleasure of spending 40 minutes with her, and she is no nonsense. No. And she's got emotion, but she's not mollycoddly. She's perfect for you.
Yeah, she's perfect for me. But at the time, because when we first met, she'd never been around anyone like me, so she never knew. So I did it secretly. I was good at hiding it.
Sure.
At that point, so and I wasn't a daily user at that point. I was probably still 2-3 times a week, but I weren't like I was previously.
Still a habit. So that was it. A slow process of coming out of that. Then was it was it turn the tap off or
no? I was always turning the tap off. Eventually, I'd got to points where it was obvious I'd changed. So I suppose the drug use affected my brain, and my using was more when I used. So I couldn't speak. So I don't like you saying it, but I sounded like I was Osborne when I was doing it at the end, and so I couldn't hide it.
But ultimately, Nicole gave you a reason to live, and you had actually gone into this because you'd lost all interest. So actually, that process,
correct.
Someone that loves you, someone you love, and then ultimately sitting here, as you said right at the beginning, the dad of 3, and multifaceted and business of serial entrepreneur. The energy that comes off you is magnetic. It's like it's a pulse. It's pretty present. I can tell you probably. Do you even sleep, sort of thing? It's just like you've got that sort of awesome energy. It's a full compliment.
Yeah, I love working. I love selling.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Selling's a drug, isn't it?
I can feel it. Yeah,
I love selling.
So focusing on that and the successful entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You've got to have a purpose and a passion for what you. So what excites you in business? So when you say you love selling, you're involved in different businesses. In fact, let's bring up Mr. Whippy, right?
Yeah.
A revitalised brand. I can imagine if you're going into a pitch, an opportunity about that, they don't stand a chance, right? You're just going to be like, where's that come from? Have you always had it?
I think I've always had it, and I actually do think that this comes from being in change rooms. Because I think I've got a really good skill naturally of knowing what you want when I'm with you, and I know what you want, and I know what you like, and stuff like that. I was in a sales meeting yesterday, and it was a £3 million order with a national retailer, a 30-minute meeting. And I can sit in a meeting with one person or 10 people, and I can see in their eyes when that product that they want comes out.
That's a skill.
I can feel it.
That's intuition, that's people reading, that's empathy. Yeah, and you learnt that from the days of sport. So actually, all those dreams of playing and being a footballer and all the sort of journey you went on there have positioned you amazingly.
It's people skills. You're in a change room sometimes with 30 people from all different parts of the world, all different ages, with all different mentalities. Some people are harder work than others. Some people you get on with. And there's certain people in change rooms that are hard work, and there's certain people that are lively, and I'm that one probably.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
So talk to me about Mr. Whippy.
Yeah,
Why have you revitalised it? And what's the vision? What's your mission with it?
I mean, Mr. Whippy, when I heard about it, what it actually was 2 years ago, excited me. Really excited me, because we all have this memory of Mr. Whippy ice cream. And the fact is, Mr. Whippy hasn't made ice cream since 1960. So we've never had one.
I didn't know that. I think it just became synonymous with going and getting a Whippy ice cream, right? You call it Mr. Whippy.
It
99 times.
1958 to 1960, it sold ice cream and it went bust. The name stuck. He got ripped off. People made it in the bathtubs, and it's the same today. There's no Mr. Whippy ice cream mix for soft serve. It doesn't exist. So a friend of mine had it in Dubai. So he registered it in Dubai, and he came back to the UK and he registered it. And he didn't know what to do with it. Well, he got stuck in a thing. And what I do know is that what to do with things. I know branding, I know sales. And another friend of mine owns the UK's largest cake factory. Only makes cupcakes, 140 million cakes a year. So he's told me, I'm in Dubai, his name's Michael Jackson. He's told me. And then Phil Scholes is here. I've got on the phone, I'm in Dubai. I said, Phil, what do you think about this? He went, don't get it. Next day brings me back. Yeah, I get it. And that was it. Started it. Took a long time to get the tenders right and the processes and the patents and all of that on the products. But we launched 5 months ago. We sold 2 million packs of cakes in one range. We've got donuts launching now, sweets.
Well done.
And I see
That's mega.
Yeah, what I see is a range of products to leading us to ice cream and then exit.
So you're mapping out all the time and you're moving. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mate,
I love it.
Brilliant.
I love it.
I can tell.
I love doing it.
I can tell.
I love doing it.
When you do you invest in other businesses? That's you, right? Because it's something that parallels myself, the chat I had with Nicole. At what point have you invested in other businesses where you're not able to influence it? Because that's a challenge, right? So when you're controlling Mr. Whippy, you were in that meeting yesterday, you made it happen.
Yeah.
But I think we're both quite similar in that we've invested in different businesses and then potentially you're looking for the same qualities that you've got, which isn't always the case in the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And you might have a vision that of course differs from what the entrepreneur wants to do and so on. What's your experience with that?
I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot over the last 10 years, mainly from bad experiences, not good. The good ones are not what you don't think about.
Yeah, ditto.
And I think I've come up with rules. I've got certain criteria that you have to hit.
I need to know these.
They're very simple. But depending on the business, most people that come and see me will be a startup. So my first rule is, are you taking a salary? If the answer is yes, I'm not in. Because no one, and the reason is, every time I've done that, it hasn't worked. My investment is not for you to earn your salary. My wife hates this, eat what you kill. So when I started my business, no one gave me any money. I had to fund my money, and I was 50 grand in debt before.
Keeps you lean, right? Keeps you focused.
Where if somebody comes to me and they want X amount, they want to take 100 grand a year, all you're doing is taking my money to pay your salary while you build it, and it won't work. So that's rule number one. Rule number two, I've got to like you. If I don't like you, it's not. If I'm not going to like you, no one's going to buy your product.
You've got to look forward to the meetings, right? You've got to look forward to the relationship.
You won't work. If people don't like you, business doesn't work. That's my experience. And three, I normally do this with my wife or what I call my daytime wife, Phil. They like spreadsheets. Your spreadsheet's got to be right. I've got no interest in that. So I'll get that checked. And if those three things are all yes, I'm normally in.
Yeah. Golden advice.
Yeah.
And it comes from lived experience.
Every time I've not done it. The biggest one is I've invested in the restaurant once because I wanted a restaurant. I had a range of a big group of gyms at the time, most expensive PT gyms in the country. And I wanted restaurants to go into Brownlow. Someone come to see me, would you like to buy our product? I said, I'll invest in it. I did no due diligence, none. Put the money in. 3 weeks later, I found out the guy who's running it weren't even a chef. I had to buy him out, run it. It was the worst thing I ever did. The most amount of money I lost within that period. And I actually went away for 4 days on a business meeting, and my wife, when I was gone, shut it and stripped the restaurant. So I come back, because I couldn't, because of my ego, I wouldn't let it go. Piling money in, I'd come back and there was nothing in it, not a kitchen, nothing. She stripped it. Best thing she ever did for me.
Yeah.
And from that I thought, I did no due diligence, I didn't check the guy, I did nothing because I got carried away.
Yeah. Well, you wanted a restaurant. There is a business that I've wanted before then, and it involved cars, the paint protection film, the wrapping of cars, and I went into that with all sorts of decision making, because the passion was there, and then you find out the whole thing's not going to work.
Yeah.
And those failures, you could call them that, and this is actually talked about a lot now in a good way. We need to fail or have these bumps in the road to actually then appreciate the successes, and you learn from them, right? Sitting here now as a successful businessman, how do you define success?
Happiness. So for me, because of my past, is my family. Success can give you lots of good things, but at the same time can kill you. So for me, it's success of a person, of a man or whatever, can be judged on how happy his family is. Because that's ultimately what matters, because we all can be nice on camera, today talking to you or in the street, but if I go home and kick the dog, I'm not successful, am I?
Yeah.
Success in my mind.
No, I love that answer. Love it. What about a young Joe? That's harsh because you've got different parts of your journey, but take me to that point where, what would be the definition of success when you were setting up the business whilst in kind of all sorts of turmoil? What would the answer been then?
Stay alive. Get sober.
I suppose what I'm going with is it can often be materialistic stuff.
It was at the time. I mean, back then when I was younger, the only thing you think about then is, it's funny actually, because I love this. When you've got nothing or you haven't got enough, you finance cars, you try and get these watches, and it's all you think about. When you can actually have them, you might have them, but I ain't that bothered anymore. Where all I used to think about was, I need that Rolex Daytona. I've got nice watches, but I never ever think about that anymore. Never. Most of the time I wear an Apple watch. I like to know how many steps I've done. So I think,
exactly.
I'm just. I think your whole mentality towards it changes once you've got it, because you want everyone on the outside to feel successful when you're not. But when you are successful, who cares?
Yeah, it resonates massively, and I think it's a challenge because, dare I say, you have to have gone through the journey to actually have. So people will say, "Oh, it's all very well him saying that he's got his," and actually they're right, because if you told a young John, me, at a certain age, that had posters of Ferraris on his wall and so on, no, you won't. I mean, I think people did. I think my dad was like, "Don't focus on that, but you've got to do it."
But I think your ambition when you're young as well, because you haven't got kids then, have you? So you want that, don't you?
Yeah.
When you got the house and family, your ambition is obviously different because you're older. Maybe that's why, but to me, that's what it is.
I love it. Happiness and the whole family side. And just talking to you about that mental health side of things and relating that to physical as well, physical fitness as well as mental fitness. You look like you keep in shape and you are so laser focused. What do you do? What works for you to keep both physically and mentally fit?
So important to me. I train every day. I mean, it's the first thing I do in the morning. So
you got a routine? Because this whole successful CEO needs to get up at 4. There's some truth in that for me, right? I need to do something, but what works for you?
So I wake up at 5. I just wake up. Whether I go to bed at 1 or 9 o'clock at night, I wake up about 5 to naturally wake up. Go to gym. I'm lucky I've got a gym in Poole in the house. So I go downstairs, I have a cup of coffee and try and drink a litre of water, and I talk to the dog for 20 minutes. I go in the gym.
No one else is up.
I love, if somebody gets up, I'm like, you've ruined my peaceful
You're interrupting us.
I go in the gym and I love cardio. So I go back in, I use the Peloton a lot, and then I do some weights. I do an hour. I'll come out, go in the sauna, might have a swim, whatever I'm doing. I'll then eat some, normally eggs, and then my day can start. Now, whatever direction that goes in, 3 days a week after that, I go to boxing in the morning on top, and I might train again at night, I might walk. But in between it can be whatever's going on. I've tried to now limit, my partner thinks I'm mental doing this, my emailing. I don't love emails, but I've got to do it. So I now try not to email after 6 p.m. And I try to do most of it actually after the gym at 8 till 10. I try and do my emails.
Same as me actually.
Because I email worse. I've got dyslexia and I've got ADHD. So to do emails, proper emails, I find really hard. And for a long time I refused to do them. People email me, I say, if you want to work with me, call me. I don't mind being called about anything, but obviously times change and I've got to email, especially.
You're much better in this scenario, just getting your message across, getting information, because it isn't always possible as an email. But
email causes me anxiety. It shouldn't. It does, because I know I'm going to say it wrong. I write badly. I write or type as I speak. And I've got I'm from East London, so...
but you get your point across.
I know what I'm doing,
So it's almost not a good reflection on you, and you probably know that, so then you're frustrated with it. Yeah. It's funny because I just introduced you to Danny Gray, founder of Jack, just to ask a question, social media, mental health platform. He's the same, and yet super bright, super driven, but he's got dyslexia, and so when he's in the moment, like you, he can get his message across, he can have a huge impact. What are your thoughts on what are your thoughts on Jack and the kind of movement that's bringing mental health into a cooler space than it's been? Because it's been, you'd have seen it in football, you've been through your own journey, obviously inspired to write your own book that's helped people, but the journey we're all on now, we're talking more about mental health, helping each other, not just relying on therapy and so on.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
That is the best tool I've seen.
Jack.
That's
brilliant to hear.
Ever. And the reason is this, it's very clear actually. He showed me this 10-year pathway. Most people take 10 years to get well. And that's probably my timescale actually. And everyone wants
to reach crisis, right? From when you first feel like you're feeling something to then.
Yeah. But during that, what I would, I call it, that 10-year period, this period, the first 12 months, life's great. Mental health and drugs are the best thing ever. This is what I'm going to be like for the rest of my life. The rest of it, you're desperate to stop, but there's so much in your way. You're embarrassed, you're ashamed, you can't talk to people. And most of the time you're on your own if you're like me, because I never used in nightclubs and pubs, I sat indoors. So, and I wanted help, but I couldn't tell anyone. So if I can sit, and I haven't got to watch 2 hours of a TED talk or a talk and try and find the 1 minute that's going to save my life, which I'm never going to get to because I'm high, I can click on that, I can listen to somebody and I can ask them the question that I want to know. Now, whether or not I take that in after, different. But that will save my life as an addict. The crisis bit, we all get there or you die. And the forms that are in that crisis list won't save your life. In fact, they'll irritate you when you get to that point, because I've done all of them. I've run Samaritans, I've gone to the doctors, I've went in the priory, I've done it all. Does not save your life. It's talking to people that are like-minded like you. Now, you might not know where to get those people at that point. It takes a long time to meet those people, but that's going to give you access to them like that.
You might not be brave enough to even reach out to them.
You won't.
You've got access. Yeah,
you've
articulated that so well.
You can't tell people. You can't tell people. I was so ashamed.
Yeah. Do you think we're getting better as men? Like two guys having a chat now, right? And I almost love the fact you got emotional then, right? Because you nearly died, and there are people out there that are killing themselves without even knowing it by not even talking to people, right? So being able to, whether it's Jack, whether it's just a conversation where people are actually saying, you're right, and actually more than that, than just sort of actually pulling people out of it. I feel that that's happening a lot more. You doing this right now, that really resonates with me. It's powerful because it's lived experience. And flipping it back to the mature Joe sitting here now, and the fact that you wrote a book that has been able to, inspire people that might be stuck in a spiral in a tough place. What advice would you give to a young Joe, to someone that's, I'm talking about someone that's aspirational, motivated, but just doesn't know where to go, what to do, who to talk to? What advice would you give them? In your career, try and do something you love. I'm talking about career and finding purpose. That's what it comes down to, purpose and passion. You had a passion for football. You were going to follow it. That got taken away from you and kind of the whole journey you've been on. But just like, how does someone find their purpose and then actually get past ego? Get past, you know what I mean? Because that's what it comes down to. Being embarrassed, being ashamed, it's all ego. Yeah. And you're sitting here now, like, strong, so focused, successful. It means a lot for someone to be able to hear from Joe Sealey. What advice should you give them? How do you get past these things that have stopped you in the past? You got to bite the bullet. Or you get to a point where you realise there is nothing to be ashamed of. There's nothing, the things that I should be ashamed of was the things that when I was doing it, I'm not talking about it afterwards. Because actually nobody cares. So it's taking that action and just manning up in a kind of like, this is on me and I can make an impact. And look how Joe's come through. Yeah, and if you talk about your career, if you can do something you love or you're passionate about, I believe you'll succeed because you'll care more and you'll work harder. Now, recently, I quite like this. A woman kept messaging me saying, can I have a job? And my answer back in the end, because she kept messaging me, was, you want a job for me, what are you going to do for me? And she went, what do you mean? So I replied to her and I said, go and get me an order. You tell me what products you need, I'll give you the product. Go and get me an order, I'll give you a job. So if you're out there and you're looking, you want to be, I don't care what it is, a chef, you want to be Gordon Ramsay or you want to work for Mr. Whippy, come to Mr. Whippy's office with an order. I'll give you a job immediately. I can employ a million salespeople with nothing, or graduates. You come to me with an order, I'll put you on a board. Brilliant. Well, that's a proven point, right? How can you say no? Deliver. Yeah. Well, you've been awesome to talk with. I could talk to you for a lot longer, Joe, but mate, thank you for making time in your busy schedule. You're an inspiration, mate.
Thank you very much. Thank you.